I have my political beliefs or my social beliefs, whatever.
Well, when you go to
I'm going to a comedy show, say whatever the hell you want.
Right.
I'm not going to get mad at somebody for doing comedy. That's crazy.
Very good.
You know?
Can you stick around? We're going to interview the Moose. Daryl Johnston is on. Daryl is the Executive Vice President of Football Operations at the USFL, and this is their big weekend. This is their inaugural season, and they wisely, I think, decided that they were going to play like a Final Four type deal where the 2 semifinal games are going to be at one location, and we're lucky enough to have them right here in our own backyard. They're going to be at the Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton.
There he is.
And there he is. Moose joins us now on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Daryl, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate it. What should we look for? What kind of football should we look for Saturday in these 2 games? What are we going to see?
I think the best thing that we've done this year is everything's been super competitive. We've only had about 3 or 4 games that have gotten away from us during the 40 regular season games. And we did that because we structured the draft a little bit differently. We didn't just throw in an entire pool. We actually went position by position. So that way the 8 teams were kind of going through the quarterbacks and then onto the edge rushers, onto the offensive tackle. So we kind of prioritized it by those key positions that teams are built around. But we did it where every team exhausted their picks on that position. So I think that really leveled the playing field and kept our teams very, very competitive. And we've seen that throughout the year. I feel bad for the Houston Gamblers. They were probably the hottest team in our league at the end of the season. They knocked off Birmingham, who was undefeated, and then they beat New Orleans in the final week of our regular season. Those are the 2 playoff teams for the South. And that was a team that, was kind of built that way, as we got everybody there. So that shows the parity that we had. And the reason that Houston's not here is because they lost like 3 games on the final play of the game. So that's how competitive we've been throughout the season.
Hey, Daryl, when you look at the long-term future of the USFL, in terms of, like, obviously this year you played all the games in Alabama, what is the plan going forward to develop home bases in other cities?
Yeah, that we're already in conversations about that for year 2. And I think really the consensus is, can we create for another franchise what we created for Birmingham this year in year 1. And it was really great to see, the fans come out and support the Birmingham Stallions. But unfortunately for the other 7 teams, Birmingham had 10 home games. It didn't matter who was on the other side. If New Jersey was playing Birmingham as the home team, yeah, good luck with that. It was a Birmingham crowd. So we'd love to be able to provide that opportunity for another one of our teams. So there's been talk about potentially maybe a North hub, to go along with the South hub. But the one thing that our leadership has done is we're going to grow this league, along the ways of being sustainable. So every decision we make will come to the sustainability of the league and the growth of the league in the right way. So our vision moving forward eventually is to have all 8 of our franchises kind of spin out into their home markets. But it's just what pace do we do that at to make sure that we're doing things, fiscally responsible.
Daryl, how do you guys go about, prospecting and, contacting talent in terms of after the draft happens, you get a bunch of people who may sign free agent deals. You may get a couple next group of people go to the CFL. Maybe some people do Arena League. Where does the USFL fit in that process in trying to get the best talent and competing for the best talent in all the best of the rest leagues in terms of, what they, guys picking players, and how do you guys go about that?
Yeah, it gets very competitive out there. We're all kind of competing for that same player coming out of that same pool. Now, where does that pool exist, to your question? You've got some free agents that we have, over the last 3 to 5 years that have had a tough time getting back into the NFL. This was the largest draft class in NFL history with a draftable grade on the players, because we kind of had that COVID situation where it was almost a double draft class. And we talked to a lot of the GMs in the clubs around the NFL, and their numbers of scouted personnel getting ready for the draft, their draft boards were almost 2 times as big as they had been in previous years. So this year, there's going to be a ton of players out there with draftable NFL grades on them that just couldn't get into the NFL, because it doesn't matter how many people are trying to get in. There's a limited number of spots there. So there's going to be a big pool that's out there for us to compete with the other leagues against. There's also some push on the salary cap. I think the other thing that the pandemic did, we saw a drop in revenue with the NFL for the first time ever, and that impacted the salary cap. So you've got a lot of teams that have been kicking that can down the road for a while. The younger player is less expensive than the kind of mid-career vet. So you talk about that middle class. The middle class in the NFL it's hard to find, right? You've got the big contracts at the top. You've got the inexpensive contracts at the bottom to kind of balance that off. So we're looking for that 3, 4, 5-year vet in the NFL that may have been pushed out because of salary cap reasons as well. So we're really trying to focus on anywhere from 2018 to 2022 as we start to build our pools for year 2.
So Daryl, how do you do this? Because as a guy who's played in another league, another sport, you want your league to be a stepping stone for those who are trying to get back to their ultimate goal, which is the NFL, right? How do you distinguish yourself from CFL, Arena Football League, as the USFL being a place where you can come in and get your work, and there's a pathway back, a real pathway back to the NFL? How do you do that, right? Because when the USFL first started out, man, they were snatching people, big-time players out of college coming in.
And then Trump screwed the whole thing up.
Sunk the whole deal, right? But that's how this thing started up. But you're working it backwards now. So how do you do that now?
They had Warren Moon, right? Jim Kelly.
Steve Young?
Reggie White. Steve Young. Some great players back in the old USFL. But for us, we want to be a standalone professional league. We're not in competition with the NFL, but we know we have to have a relationship with the NFL where we create some synergy that works for both of us. We really think that we provide some assets for the NFL. The offensive line, the quarterback position, you hear it all the time. These guys need to play games. They're not getting taught enough in the college game. We've restricted time in the NFL game when we talk about practice and the opportunity to perfect that craft, especially in those key positions of offensive line and quarterback. So this gives them an opportunity to get players down to us and let them see what it's like to play at game speed. Is one of the big reasons the USFL this year did not limit anything defensively from a blitzing standpoint. Other leagues in the past have restricted what the defenses can do. We want to make sure that our offensive line and our quarterbacks are used to playing against a heavy blitz team, so they can adjust to that if they get that opportunity in the NFL. So, those are some of the big things. We look at us as a standalone professional league and a non-traditional route to get back to the NFL to continue to chase that dream.
Daryl, would you like to share any dirt on Troy Aikman today?
I don't think there is any dirt out there on Troy Aikman. I'm not aware of anything.
Troy Aikman's the perfect human being. What are you talking about, Paul? Make something up.
I don't think I've ever met one, but if I've met somebody that comes close, it would be Troy Aikman.
Oh, wow.
And I would be remiss if I didn't pub his 8 beer right now. He'd get mad at me.
So, Daryl, I'm just told by our executive producer, who goes by McNuggets, because that's what we call him. We'll put him up on the screen so you can see him. His real name's Mike. Mike, you just told me something that I didn't know. Repeat that.
My middle name's Irvin.
So your
True
name
story.
after
My name is Michael Irvin, yeah.
How does a white kid from New Jersey get named after Michael Irvin?
With 2 parents who are Giants fans.
Oh,
Figure.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, that makes no sense.
They like Michael Irvin. They like the name.
Wow.
But I am Michael Irvin Lucas, so.
That's terrifying to me, to think that your name's after Michael Irvin and your parents are Giants fans. I don't know quite how that happened.
Hey, Daryl, did you know Michael Irvin was going to be such a good actor? We knew he was going to be a good football player, but he's a good actor, too.
Oh, my gosh. Absolutely. I mean, everything he does is animated. I mean, you watch him on the pregame shows. I think everybody saw right then. He's done a lot of promotional things for the Cowboys at the stadiums during game day. I mean, he's very impressive in front of the camera, and he always has been. I mean, this is even going back to his playing days. There's certain guys that you see that have a potential to have a career if they want to go into sports broadcasting, if they want to actually take that up a notch and actually get into film. And Michael is definitely one of those guys that can do that.
You've done very well in that space. What do you think about some of the numbers that we're seeing now? Like Tom Brady has never done it. He's obviously the GOAT when it comes to the quarterback position in the NFL, but he's going to make $1 gajillion in his next career, and he's never broadcasted. It's harder than it looks, isn't it?
It is. We need to have our own little union, to start collectively bargaining for our wages, for the guys that are not on that lead team. If you go back in history, I mean, Joe Montana. I mean, everybody kind of thought the same thing about Joe Montana, and it didn't work out. So there's been a number of guys who've been great football players, but it just hasn't translated. It is a lot of work, and I think the salaries today, these guys don't have to have that second career if they really don't want that, because it is a lot of work. It's a lot of time away from your family. It's not as much as coaching, and that's really the reason I went into it. I wanted to stay involved with football. It's given me a ton. I feel like an ambassador for the game, because it's given me so many great things. But I did not want to get into coaching because that's too much time away from your family. So I went the broadcasting route, and that's still quite a bit of time away from your family, and it is a lot of hard work. The studio's much different than being out on the road as an analyst. So you got to find out where your comfort zone is there. But I'm excited to see Tom Brady because I think he's a little bit like Troy. When people heard that Troy was going to get into broadcasting, they would see his post-game press conferences and be like, he doesn't tell us anything. I said, well, he's not supposed to. That's his job as the quarterback of the team, is not to tell you anything as a writer. He doesn't want to stir any controversy that you're going to have to unwind during the week. So as the voice of our franchise in Dallas, he was outstanding at controlling the narratives. But boy, if you listen to him in the locker room post-game, just his passion for the game and, immediately being able to dissect what went wrong during the course of the game, you could tell he was going to be really, really good at that. And having had the opportunity to be on production calls or production meetings with Tom Brady, he's kind of that similar thing to Troy, where he may seem a little bit bland when you see him in interviews and stuff like that, but that's his job. That's what he's doing. I think everybody should be excited to see, because you're going to get to see really kind of what the true personality of Tom Brady is once he gets on TV.
Hey, I just wanted to say to Moose and everybody at the USFL, thank you for coming back into my life as a long-suffering Jet fan. I now have an alternative league to watch when I'm not crying in my beer over my Jets, and it's good to have the Jersey Generals back.
It's true.
Yeah, you know what? I tell you, they've been our most consistent team throughout the year. They're riding a 9-game winning streak right now. In my opinion, of the Final Four, they're the team to beat. Mike Riley's done a tremendous job. Since day one, week one, they lost a heartbreaker to Birmingham in that opening game. We looked like we were going into overtime on our first game, but Birmingham was able to steal that in the last minute. So this is going to be, hopefully that bookended season where we get Birmingham and New Jersey first week of the season to kick everything off, last game of the season in the championship game, and see if New Jersey can get some revenge on them.
Hey, Moose, real quick, right? 10 years with the Cowboys, but I'm looking at you here. What's up with the grays, bro? What happened, bro?
It's not gray, it's silver. It's silver. It doesn't show age, it shows wisdom and experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and by the way, the man asking that question, Brad Sellers, is also. So he's allowed to ask that question.
That's right.
So, Daryl, Mike, did you say you had something, McNuggets?
Only if you want it. We made a graphic for. Never mind. We'll
Okay.
get to it.
All right. I'm getting my traffic wires crossed. Hey, listen, Moose, thanks so much for coming on. It's the Final Four for the USFL this weekend. The games are local, so if you need your football fix and you want to see it, I've looked in on a lot of these games.
Yeah.
It is a very interesting product, and I've seen some talent that, quite frankly, has exceeded my expectations at certain positions. Moose, thanks for coming on, the Executive Vice President of Football Operations for the USFL. I hope you guys have a great weekend attendance out there, and then the championship game a week from Sunday on July 3rd. Moose, thanks. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Yeah, come
You
out and
bet.
see us this weekend. It's gonna be, we got Trace Atkins, too, so music and football. You can't
That's
beat it.
right.
Nice.
That's right. Absolutely.
Gonna be a
Moose
great weekend.
Johnston on the program, Daryl Johnston on the program. Thank you very much.